Ladies and gentlemen, we are back, and there's way too much going on to do a regular intro. No intro music this week. Maybe we'll play it at the outro, depending on how the show goes. I'm here with Kieran. And Kieran, the College Football Playoffs, the final rankings have dropped.
Let chaos reign.
Yeah, and as expected, everyone's perfectly okay with it.
Yes.
All the teams who got in are thrilled. All the fans are thrilled. All the teams who didn't get in are going, that's fair. We probably could have won some games. That we lost. So everyone's happy. So no show this week. There's nothing going on. So we'll play that outro instead now. They're eating the dogs, Kieran, in Tuscaloosa.
They're eating the
dogs.
dogs.
You know that? No. Notre Dame decided to take their ball and go home. They have opted out of bowl games. Kieran, what were your thoughts on seeing this news?
Absolute hilarity. Because there is nothing that they could have done to convince us more that they A, need to join a conference, and B, are one of, if not the most coddled brands in college football.
Yeah, I agree with you. A lot of people have thoughts pointing out that they don't need to join a conference. Everyone just needs to be okay with them not joining a conference. A lot of comments about my weight on the video I posted about it. I don't know what that has to do with college football, but
What?
people were calling me fat, saying I needed to eat another cheeseburger, and that I'm on drugs. So it's 10 out of 10, guys. Comments are great.
Incredible.
I think they're hilarious, but yeah, so this is a very divisive topic. I kind of figured that we were going to have a similar opinion, which we'll talk about a bit more, but I wanted to let a Notre Dame fan sort of give their thoughts on it instead. So we had Brian from 3rd and 10 record a video to post on Bellic Social this week. So we'll play that real quick and just get the Notre Dame perspective. If I could figure out how to play it.
After being left out of the college football playoffs, Notre Dame has announced they will not be participating in a bowl game this year. And look, call it childish, call it soft, call it clownish, call it whatever you want. This is the right move by the Notre Dame Fighting Irish, okay? They were screwed in this whole process. I'm not talking about Notre Dame Miami, okay? It's on the field. If that was the case, I get it. It's the fact that Alabama got in over them because 15 of the last 16 conference championship losers have fallen in the next poll. The one exception was Alabama, and this was after a questionable rise in their rankings after a lackluster win against Auburn. So this is Notre Dame saying, we're not going to play in a meaningless bowl game when we were screwed over. We're not going to give money to a network that actually rooted against us. We're on to 2026, and we're there to make a statement. And if you saw how Marcus Freeman led the Irish after the embarrassment at NIU, you can only imagine how dangerous Notre Dame will be in 2026 after being.
So I don't necessarily disagree with some of the things Brian said. However, to say, oh, every team that's lost a conference championship has fallen in the rankings. When meanwhile last year we had people talking about if SMU loses, I don't care. I still want them in. You shouldn't be punished for playing an extra game. But Alabama is the exception here, apparently. And on top of that, saying, oh, well, Marcus Freeman, if you saw how he reacted to the NIU loss last year, he's going to have these guys firing on all cylinders. Wouldn't he be motivated to not lose their 2 games against good teams after losing the national title game? But no, he's now they're going to be motivated. No, Notre Dame is soft. They're playing in a meaningless bowl game. A lot of people are pointing out, well, what about the guys who are going to opt out? Like, why should Notre Dame care? It's not necessarily about that. The guys are going to opt out. Jeremiah Love, Carr, they have the NFL to focus on. They're going to want to preserve their strength and their health for next year and into the NFL. The problem is you also have a bunch of guys who aren't going into the NFL. And the rumors are they declined a Pop-Tarts Bowl invite, the most prestigious bowl in college football history, potentially. And it's about the guys who are redshirt, fifth-year seniors who are going to be sitting in a cubicle doing someone's taxes next year. And while they're doing that, which is awful work, I hated being an accountant, they're going to be thinking, man, that game in the Pop-Tarts Bowl was electric. So you're taking that away from them. And Georgia got screwed out of the playoffs a couple of years ago when it was only 4 teams. So they went out and decided to dominate and blew out their opponent. And Notre Dame, this is the perfect chance for Notre Dame to do that. Go, y'all messed up. We should have been in, and we're going to prove it to you how badly y'all messed up. Because that's how you get the benefit of the doubt going forward. A lot of people point out, oh, it's the Alabama brand. No, it's the Alabama running through, I can't say that word, someone's face for a decade straight. So they got the benefit of the doubt under Saban. This is how you get that benefit of the doubt. You go out there, you dominate in big primetime games, and then you will get that one or two mulligans, that benefit of the doubt. Go, well, they didn't play great, but they kick it into gear in these big time games. It's soft. It's ridiculous. Notre Dame, if you want to make the college football playoffs, you shouldn't have lost to the two ranked teams you played all damn year.
Yeah, I mean, it's a good point. I think it's difficult when they're not in a conference, right? Because if you had that game to justify that last spot in the playoff, or say an 8 seed or whatever it might have been, then I'm willing to accept your argument that if you lost that game, that you should be in because you only lost it by a field goal, or you played really well. I will accept all those arguments. Now, to that end, to Notre Dame's credit, their two losses are against teams that are about to play each other in the college football playoff on December 20th. It's Miami and Texas A&M. So it's one of those things that it's really hard to think that, like, oh, the two losses are the only other two teams actively in the playoffs. But then, they're not, I don't want to say they're playing cupcakes, because, they're not, it's not all cupcakes. And, other conferences are have those cupcake games as well. I'm not playing that strength of record thing or strength of schedule stuff, but it's one thing to miss a college football playoff. It's another thing to then opt out of a bowl game that everyone wants to see. I think in the era of meaningless bowl games, the Pop-Tart Bowl has kind of cemented itself as the next best thing, right? Yes, you're not playing for national championship. It's not the era of the BCS. But arguably, in terms of a spectacle, the Pop-Tart Bowl is one of the better ones. And it's really fun to see those two teams go and compete against one another. So to deny yourself that opportunity is a waste of a game. It's a waste of a coaching experience, and it's a waste of an opportunity to show, look how badly we beat, say, BYU. I think that's who they were going up against. Look how badly we beat them, and they only just lost. Or I mean, they did lose pretty badly in their Big 10, Big 12 matchup. But it's one of those things. It's like it's an 11-1 team or 11-2 team. Look how badly we kick their butts. This is our repertoire for going into the next season. So I don't know what they're doing.
Yeah, and I'm glad you brought up their schedule, because Notre Dame's athletic director, Pete Bivacqua, it's a weird last name, I'm probably mispronouncing it, said, we were shocked, mystified what happened Sunday. We had one of the most dominant 10-game runs in the history of college football. And Brett McMurphy over at On3 did put their schedule out after. So they had the Miami, Texas A&M losses, which, again, they got a huge benefit of the doubt by staying ranked at 0-2 after those losses, but they lost those games. Then they did go on to win 10 straight against some real heavy hitters in the sport, Kieran. And this is a murderer's row. I don't know how they were left out after being 2-10 Purdue, at 2-10 Arkansas, Boise State, which is just labeled G5, which I think is a little unnecessary dig at Boise State. They are a good program, so I'll give them that one. At 7-5 NC State, 9-3 USC, at Boston College, who was an unbelievable 2-10. I don't know how they won that game. Navy, another good Group of 5 opponent. At Pitt, who was 8-4, so that's fine. 3-9 Syracuse, and at 4-8 Stanford. Real dominant 10-game run. The best in college football, some are saying. Some are strictly people within Notre Dame, but it's fine. So I hate that. I hate the entitlement they feel, because in the BCS era, if they were a top 8 finish, they were guaranteed a BCS bowl. Guaranteed. going forward. If they finish top 12, if it's a 12 or a 14 team playoff, they are guaranteed a spot in the playoffs. No other independent is getting these concessions for them. It's just Notre Dame because they have good marketing. They don't need to necessarily back up on the field because they have NBC in their back pocket. Complaining about ESPN bias when you've had NBC in your back pocket the entire time is insane. And then to go around and go, well, the ACC hurt us by campaigning for the team that is in their conference. Like, look, Notre Dame has a relationship with the ACC. They have a scheduling alliance, and a bunch of other Notre Dame sports play in the ACC. So Notre Dame, join the ACC. If you want the ACC to campaign for you, to champion for you, and go out there and go, no, Notre Dame had a great 10-game run after losing to two highly ranked teams that are in the playoffs right now. They should be in. Then join the conference. Why are you expecting? Are you upset the SEC didn't tell the committee to put you in? Are you upset the Big Ten didn't? Are you upset the Mountain West, Big Sky? Like, where do you want this to end? Do you want a presidential decree from Donald Trump telling the committee to put you in the playoffs? Because that's the only thing that will make Notre Dame happy. They do not care about winning on the field. They only care that they see everyone in media on their knees in front of Notre Dame, mouth wide open. Notre Dame wants you to think they're great. They don't care if they're actually great. Notre Dame is a soft program, and if they don't get their way, then they're going to cry to mommy, take their ball, and go home. And it's sad.
Well, I think we can wrap up this podcast there on that rant. It's been great, everyone. This is the college football podcast that you all tune in to listen to. No, I mean, well said. Well said. It is ridiculous that we're even having this argument.
It's great. And look, people are arguing. I still got more to go, Kieran.
Oh,
people are arguing Miami, fine. They beat Notre Dame. And some people are asking, well, why was Notre Dame ranked above? Then Miami miraculously went up and then jumped them when neither team played. It's because the committee messed up. They realized they messed up. They worked for it weeks at a time to fix that mess up. And then they finally fixed it once the final rankings came out. That's all it came down to. They expected Miami to keep going to stay down or keep going down. They expected Notre Dame to keep rising. Miami did not really end up going too far down. They did have those two losses, but it was committee fixing it. But if you want to argue 2-loss teams should not be in the playoffs or 3-loss teams, I won't disagree with you. I don't think Alabama should be in the playoffs. They lost to Florida State, a bad loss to Florida State. They did lose to Oklahoma, which was a good team, also a playoff team, but at home. They struggled down the stretch. Their offense did not look good. They got blown out by Georgia. If you put forth that argument, I would not necessarily have a disagreement with you on it. But 2-loss teams, you have not shown that you are the best team in the country multiple times. I think every team should get a hiccup, a mulligan. And I understand this is weird with Ohio State coming off of a national championship, being a 2-loss team. But I think if they said, nope, only 1 losses or fewer, and this is why I was against expansion in the first place. Last year, we didn't have enough good teams. This year, we have too many, so we're going to expand it again. No. Retract. Shrink. Don't go to 14. Don't go to 16. Don't go to 24. My God, that would be a disaster. 8. 10. 10 or 8. 8 or 10. You know, the top 2 seeds, you get a bye. Everyone else, play it out. 8. No buys. You don't need 12. You don't need 14. You don't need 16. Put in the teams that have shown from week 1 to week 13 that they are the best team in the country. Mm-hmm. Do not put the teams that show they can be the best team in the country, but they lose to an unranked team in week 1, or they drop 2 straight against the only good teams they play all year. And it just so no one's accusing me of being biased towards Alabama. I'm not thrilled they're in. I'm not thrilled that I have to watch them for another week, to be honest with you. It is going to be painful. It is going to be awful.
Yeah, I mean, I was about to follow up with that because, I mean, Oklahoma is I mean, I'm not going to say they're firing all cylinders, but they're certainly a very good team. And, you know, having to face them again is really going to test and strain Alabama. I mean, I'm not going to put them up in the ranks of Georgia, far from it, but it's going to be a slugfest at the very least. The other thing I'd just like to point out about the and 2 teams right now, is that Indiana has had the most remarkable turnaround under Kurt Signetti. And I, for one, am pumped about it. And I know we're going to get into our bets, later on, but it's one of those things that it's almost so incredible that you don't believe it. But again, we'll probably get onto this later. But the along with JMU and Tulane, who both are flying high, it's going to be really interesting to see them up against Oregon and Ole Miss, respectively, because it's not so much that I think Oregon or Ole Miss will blow out the other team, but I want to see how close that those two teams can make it. I want to see like Tulane. I mean, granted, Ole Miss has gone through that coaching change right now with Lane going off to LSU, and Tulane, deservedly so, has made it into the college football playoff and is going most likely to play Ole Miss very, very close. So I'm also interested to see that. And but the thing is, those teams are 11 and 12 and 1 respectively for winning their conference championship games. So it's difficult. And I also have to say this: I feel bad for Duke because they are conference champions. Technically, if we were doing this by the Power 4 conferences, they should be in. I know they have 5 losses, but I digress.
Yeah, no, that'd be hilarious. It's bad. And you touched on it. We'll get into the rankings. We're not going to do the full ranks. We're going to do the brackets just to kind of divvy it up that way to make life a little bit easier. Of course, I just had a bracket up, and now I can't find it. Anyway, Indiana at 1, Ohio State at 2, Georgia at 3, Texas Tech at 4. They're your buys. Any thoughts on that? Any shockers?
Nope, not at all. That's perfectly fine.
I'm glad that they did away with only the conference champions can get a bye. I'm glad that it's now
the best 4 teams.
Yeah, I think that's the best way to do it. That's the way it should be done. Then moving on, you have Oregon playing James Madison. You have Ole Miss playing Tulane. Shocked they put 2 Group of 5 schools in there. Not upset about it though.
No.
Texas A&M versus Miami, and then the Oklahoma-Alabama rematch in your 8-9 game. Kieran, any thoughts on any of these games?
The Texas A&M versus Miami is going to genuinely be the who's your daddy Notre Dame game to see who really deserves that title, because I mean they both beat them, so it's going to be interesting to see who can come out on top for that. Like I said with the Ole Miss Tulane game, that's going to be interesting with Lane Kiffin gone. JMU Oregon has not been the high-powered offense that they were last year. It's weird. Like, yeah, they've won games and they've won them more or less decisively. The game against Penn State nearly lost if it wasn't for our dumb decision-making, play calling, and all that jazz. I mean, in Indiana, same thing. Like the only team, it's the only team that has genuinely beaten Penn State thoroughly is Ohio State, who ran over us. All the other games have been fairly close against Penn State, and I know I shouldn't be bringing them up there. At absolute doghouse right now for me, but Oregon has not played as well as they did last year, and JMU has been blowing through teams they've played in the Group of 5. So I wouldn't count them out. I'll say that. I wouldn't count them out.
Yeah, I think the Group of 5 editions were both really good. James Madison's looked good all year. Tulane, they did have some stumbles, but there were some questions by some, mainly me, about how Tulane could do against that high-powered North Texas offense. Tulane proved they deserve to be there, and James Madison did the same. I'm very excited to see, as you alluded to, the Ole Miss without Lane versus Tulane. That's going to be a really good game. Summerall is coaching Tulane through the playoffs, so that'll be fun to see. Miami, Texas A&M. I'm not excited for this game. I don't
Why?
think this is going to be a good game. I think this game's going to be gross. I still don't trust Carson Beck not to throw a billion picks in a game. And this is not saying neither team should be in. Don't get me wrong. Both teams deserve to be in. They should be in. I don't trust Carson Beck not to throw a million picks in the game. And I still am putting the fraud label on Texas A&M. They really did not look good against Texas. Marcel Reed, is he healthy? Is that going to be an issue going forward? So I'm not excited about that. I'm also not excited about the Alabama-Oklahoma game, except for one potential thing we could see. Here's seen Space Jam, Kiernan.
Yes.
So that game, the Oklahoma game this year, was a turning point for Alabama's offense. Ty Simpson, after that game, Oklahoma broke him, basically.
Yeah.
I'm hoping if Alabama can manage to beat the Sooners, then it'll sort of be like when the Monstars got beat and all the powers that they stole went back to the NBA players. And I'm hoping Ty Simpson can beat Oklahoma and get his powers back and look like a competent quarterback again.
I mean, that would be pretty funny. It's a movie script waiting to be written. Or rewritten in this case.
It'd be great. It'd be awesome. Space Jam 3 starring Ty Simpson in the Alabama offense. Now, we'll do actual betting picks on these games next week, right before we're at those games. But, Kiernan, who do you have? Not way too early, but kind of early. Who do you have winning the national title out of these teams?
Oh, I don't want to say it. I don't want to say it because it'll come true. Or rather, it won't come true. Screw it. Ohio State. It's just because I think in terms of the path that they're on, it's really going to be 1 and 2 again. It's going to be Indiana and it's going to be Ohio State again, unless something crazy happens in the quarter or semifinals. To that end, I think the conference game between Indiana and Ohio State was so much of a slugfest that I don't know if Kurt Cignetti's Indiana can replicate that same kind of grueling attrition style game that they had just a week ago. So I'm going to say Ohio State, and I want to be wrong.
That's fair. I think, Kiernan, and I've turned around on Indiana. I've been very anti-Kurt Cignetti after it comes from the SEC. However, I think Indiana is the only ethical college football program in the country.
Yes, here we go.
Their first season of playing college football was in 1899. They have had 34 seasons above 500. So that's about 90 years of 500 or below football. So while everyone else was paying their players under the table, Indiana was doing it the good old-fashioned way and just sucking. And now that they can legally pay their players, Indiana is good. Indiana was too nice and too by the books to pay their players. They're the only ethical college football team in the sports history. I believe that will be rewarded, and I'm going to go with bold take. I know the number 1 team going into the playoffs, Indiana.
All right. I like it. I love the pick. I absolutely love it. Thank you for picking it because I couldn't bring myself to do it.
That's fair. I was either going to do that or pick Tulane or James Madison, but I didn't want to pick Ohio State. I didn't want to pick Georgia. Texas Tech would be fun. Ooh, that could be fun, Kiernan. Rank these teams based on how little you want to see them win.
The top 4?
All of them. Just 1 through 12. Number 1, you really don't want to see them win. You might stop watching at halftime to number 12 being you really want to see them win. Or actually 1 you really want to see, 12 you will stop watching at halftime.
Okay. Ohio State, Alabama, Georgia, Texas Miami, Texas A&M, Oklahoma, Texas Tech, Oregon, Ole Miss, Tulane, JMU, Indiana.
Okay. All right, that's fair. So I did try to switch it up on the end and change the order, but I'm going to follow your order. So, teams in order of how little I want to see them win. First one, I really don't want to see them. Ohio State is clear cut. I do not want to see them go back to back. Georgia, after them, I really don't want to see that. Miami, just because I think it's very funny what Miami football has done to Jared over in the corner booth. I'd like to keep that going. Texas A&M, because I hate them. No more reason than that.
Yep.
Then it gets tricky. I think Oregon is going to be next. I don't really care if they win. I think it's very funny that they haven't won. Then Texas Tech and Indiana, I think, are on that same tier. If they want to be like, that's cool, that's fun, that's exciting. James Madison, Tulane, one step above them, just very funny to see a group of 5 team win. And then number 1 is going to be Alabama. I will be over the moon if they win a national title.
Yeah, that would be actually the most insane comeback story of the playoffs, is just getting absolutely, well, not going to absolutely, but getting pretty much dog walked each game as they approach the final rankings, only to turn it on as the playoffs begin and just absolutely blow out other teams. Ridiculous.
Yeah, that would be great. But while looking up some things for this, I saw some really bad preseason graphics, Kieran, and I want to share those, and I want us to talk about them. So let's go with this one. It has a Bleacher Report logo on it, but I did not see it on Bleacher Report. I saw it on some weird British site, so I don't know how true that is. But your 4 buys going into it are going to be Oregon, Texas, Miami, and Colorado.
Wow.
Already off to a great start. Then your 5-12 matchup, Ohio State and Boise State, not crazy. It's not the craziest thing I've seen.
No.
Next up, you have Penn State versus Tennessee in your 6-11. Notre Dame, Georgia in your 7-10. And Alabama, Indiana in your 8-9. It got less funny after the top 4, but it's still very funny.
Yeah, the Boise State one is interesting to me because it's hard for a group of 5 team to replicate a run like that, especially when you've lost your main element in Aston Gianti. The Penn State and Tennessee thing, it purely based on last season, you're like, yeah, that makes total sense, right? That is an absolutely acceptable area for them to be in. Same thing with Notre Dame and Georgia. The only thing with that is that I would swap their rankings at set 10 and 7 respectively, and it would just be Georgia blowing out Notre Dame, and this conversation could be over. The only one that would be objectively funny to watch if they weren't as good as they were this year would be Indiana, Alabama, because of, I guess, just the absurdity of Indiana still being there. I mean, I know they're number 1, but just based on preseason alone, it was not enough to determine how good this team was. So that would be wild.
That's true. And now we're going to go off of the weird British site to the NCAA's website. This was a blog posted on the NCAA official website. They got 2 of these right. Not really where they were, but they just got 2 right. Ohio State at 1, Texas at 2, Clemson at 3, Arizona State at 4. Not crazy with the Arizona State with how they did last year, but and then moving on to your 5-12, Notre Dame versus Navy. Your 6-11, Penn State, Kansas State. A lot of people like Penn State at 6. 7-10, Oregon, LSU, and 8-9, the Orange Bowl again. Tennessee versus Illinois. This is hilarious. To have this on the official NCAA website and be this wrong is so funny.
It's objectively worse than a weird British Bleacher Report-esque site.
Yeah, it's so bad.
It is.
I do think this would be an electric playoff, but Ohio State would win.
Yeah.
We could have a discussion with the current bracket about if Ohio State would win. Ohio State wins every game by 3 scores.
Yeah, minimum.
So, but yeah, I just thought these were really funny.
They are.
So I want to share them with all of us. And now, Kieran, moving off of the playoffs into a little award season, the Heisman Trophy finalists have been announced. 4 finalists. You have Jeremiah Love for Notre Dame. You have Fernando Mendoza for Indiana, Diego Pavia for Vandy, and Julian Sayin at Ohio State. Kieran, what were your thoughts on the finalists? Who got snubbed, and who do you think is going to win?
I'll be honest with you. I don't think anybody got snubbed necessarily. These 4 guys have been absolutely incredible all year. I will say this. Jeremiah Love really only took off in the second half of the season, especially the stat padding that occurred during the Syracuse game. Fernando Mendoza has been playing out of his mind at Indiana. Julian Sayin has been at most consistent. Like he's had good games, he's had meh games, but like Ohio State overall is just so powerful that it's probably a little bit more stat batting. Diego Pavia has been, I would argue, the most fun to watch in terms of football, just play style. So while I 100% would probably give this award to Fernando Mendoza, I would much prefer to see Diego Pavia win. I think that would be just emotionally, that would be a lot better.
That's true. I'm good with either Pavia or Mendoza. Neither school has produced a Heisman Trophy winner, so that's fun. That's cool. I think Pavia, though, I don't think he's going to win. I don't think he has a chance to win. I don't think the team success or the numbers are especially eye-popping.
Yeah.
I also think he might have taken the token defensive player spot that they always have. I think Jacob Rodriguez for Texas Tech would have filled that slot. He would not have had any chance to win. So I think that's where that slot went. Julian Sayin is kind of what Trevor Lawrence was a few years ago. He's the quarterback on the best team. Sort of also what Mac Jones was a few years ago for Alabama. Just best quarterback, best team. He's going to go a lot of times. And yeah, Jeremiah Love started slow. Then Notre Dame remembered how to use him, and he started taking off. So, yeah, I think I don't hate this list. It would have been nice to see Ty Simpson on here, but it's hard to do that when you forget how to play football. And Jeremiah Smith not being here is a little surprising, but I feel like his numbers, he didn't go crazy, and you need to go crazy as a wide receiver to win the Heisman.
Yeah, the only other, and this is pure bias, I fully understand that, is Katron Allen and Nick Singleton, both with respective touchdown and yards records for Penn State. Again, it's very much a case of they used them too late. Ever since Terry Smith took over, it's literally just been hand the ball off to those two and watch them run. So I think I would argue that if Franklin had used them more in the first couple of games, and especially in the middle of the season against at the starting of the Big Ten opponents, I think Penn State not only would be in a better situation, but also those numbers would be far, far better. So I'm not going to say they got snubbed because, I totally understand it. They didn't do that well, but it's one of those things that, like, they played very well, and I think they should at least be recognized for that. So, probably not a finalist, but they did play very well.
I see Katron Allen potentially saying he's a snub, but Nick Singleton, 549 yards. I know he had 13 touchdowns, but I know you said they're not snubs. I also think that's a situation where one of them got hurt, the other would be a finalist. It's like in 2020 when Devontae Smith won the Heisman, Jalen Waddle went out at the beginning of the year. He got injured. So Devontae Smith became the number one guy, clear cut, no question about it. One of them going down, whether it be Singleton or Allen, the other one would have gotten more of the carries, would have gotten more of the spotlight, and probably would have been here. But yeah, it's weirdly, I don't hate the Heisman finalists this year.
Yeah, it's one of those things where you're just like, yeah, this kind of makes perfect sense, It's one of the very few things that has actually gone correct.
Yeah, and I haven't really heard anyone screaming about this.
Yeah, nobody's upset about it because it makes probably the most amount of sense.
Yeah, so moving on though to Kieran, your school, Penn State, finally has a coach, and it's not Mark Stoops, like I said. What were your thoughts on Matt Campbell to Penn State?
So I was, I don't want to say I was underwhelmed, but I wasn't like over the moon, but I was also like, all right, cool. That's a really solid pickup because his name was floated around right at the beginning of this whole kerfuffle that went on, and it was like, okay, so it looks like we're not getting him, so let's just move on. Only for us to turn around and do it anyway. So I'm like, all right, well, that seems kind of pointless. We could have had this, back in the beginning of November. I don't understand why we're all hyped about it now. Like, don't get me wrong, he's a great coach and he seems to like the school and like the trajectory or whatever is going on. So great. But, I'm not overly thrilled. I don't particularly, I shouldn't say I don't care, but it's one of those I just I'll believe it when I see it. That's kind of where I'm at right now.
That's fair. I think part of the reason why it took so long is because Matt Campbell said, "I'm not interviewing anywhere until our season's over."
Mhm.
So
That's
I
true.
I think that's a reason to look at. But a lot of schools that would hire Matt Campbell, I think, should have been very excited about hiring Matt Campbell. I think Penn State is one of the few schools where if you're not over the moon about it, I could sort of see that. And I'm not saying Penn State's too good for Matt Campbell, but with Matt Campbell, what he's done at Iowa State is unbelievable how well he's done.
Mhm.
But this high point for Iowa State, Penn State fans would not be happy with. And I understand Penn State's going to have better resources. They're going to have an easier job recruiting just with name brand alone. So I do kind of see your trepidation, but I do think it's going to end up being a good hire, partially because they locked in on him early and then everyone else is gone. So I
Mhm.
think it's a good hire because Penn State messed up, but a good hire nonetheless. It could be worse.
Right, right. I think that was kind of the big thing is like the somebody described it as a lateral move for Penn State at the very least. Probably a step up for Campbell, I would say. I mean that's pretty disrespectful to Iowa State because they have been great. They've been solid under Matt Campbell. I'll say that. Um, but in terms of like a coach like that, he is similar in a way to Franklin. So for us, it's not like it's not an Ed Orgeron. It's not a Kalen DeBoer. It's not a Lane Kiffin sort of situation that's like super high profile and oh my god, we got our guy sort of situation. We got a very consistent competitor, a very consistent recruiter, and someone to steady the sinking ship. Really,
And it's not Mark Stoops, and they're not adding the interim tag to Terry Smith for an entire season. So, how upset can you really be with it?
no,
Penn State has
yeah.
announced the contract details: 8 years, $70.5 million, an annual retention bonus of $1 million, an automatic extension for making the college football playoffs. This makes him the highest paid coach in college or in Penn State history. Sorry, averaging 8.8 million per season. Not a bad amount, not a crazy amount of money, but it is fully guaranteed, which I feel like most coaching contracts are now. Does the contract make you nervous, excited? Are you like, it's money, I don't care, it's not my money?
Well, yes, certainly that last one. I'm not too worried about it. I think it's one of those things that we kind of probably needed to persuade somebody like Matt Campbell to come over to Penn State. So I'm okay with it. I think that the resources to college football programs as a whole is becoming insane. And so 8.8 million for what 8 years or whatever it is, fine. You
Yeah,
know, fine. It's money at this point. It's to get the guy that you want, you gotta spend. So that's the end of it.
that's true. Uh, some other coaching news has made or come out. Iowa State has found their replacement for Matt Campbell. They're bringing in Jimmy Rogers from Washington State. He spent 2 seasons at South Dakota State, going 15-0 and 12-3 there, 6-6 at Washington State this past year. His contract is worth, I just had the numbers in front of me. They have to pay the buyout. $4 million to Washington State to buy that out. That will be negated by Penn State paying Iowa State $2 million. Base salary of $3 million per year for Jimmy Rogers, with a bunch of incentives: $1.5 million if the Cyclones win 12 regular season games, then down to $250 if they win 7. Having a bonus for winning 7 games really just kind of shows the state of Iowa State football before Matt Campbell got there. I believe it's a 3-year deal. I saw 6-year deal. Sorry, 6 years, $3 million per year base salary. So I think it's a fine deal. They're not overpaying a crazy amount with some of these contracts going around. They shouldn't be with just FCS. He did win a championship at the FCS level with South Dakota State, but 6-6 at Washington State. Give him time to figure it out. Thoughts on Jimmy Rogers to the Cyclones?
Yeah, first thought. What a name. It's like so simple of a name, like Jimmy Rogers. I feel like we're going back in time, and I don't know why I thought that when I first saw his name come up as the head coach for Iowa State. I just thought that was like so funny. That is a stupid little rant, but you know, it's objectively funny. Yeah, for in terms of his like overall ability, he's pretty good. There's no reason to think that he can't win at Iowa State. And again, very much an upgrade from what he was doing at Washington State. So no reason to fear, and probably a great pickup for Iowa State.
And then Kentucky got their Stoops replacement, Will Stein, Oregon State's offense coordinator. Oregon's offense coordinator, excuse me. He is staying at Oregon through the playoffs. Then he will be going over to Kentucky. He signed a 5-year, $28.5 million deal with the Kentucky Wildcats. I don't know why. I just forgot what they were called. I don't know how I feel about this move, Kieran.
Why?
Is this a sabotage situation? Will Stein played quarterback for the Louisville Cardinals.
Oh,
is he just going there to take down their rival?
Great point. That's a great point. Yeah. Jeez.
There was a joke going around when CFB 25 came out saying, I'm about to dominate the group of 5, go to Alabama, not sign any recruits, make them go 3-9 every year, and then leaving their program in the dumpster. Is that what Will Stein's about to do? Does he have a back pocket deal with Louisville once his mission's complete to go and coach the Cardinals? I don't know, Kieran. I wouldn't trust it.
Well, who knows? It's like the Batman quote. It's like you either die a hero or live long enough to see yourself become the villain.
That's true. But also, and you did mention a villain, it would bring his loyalty into question, Kieran. And how loyal can he be to a program if he'll play for his alma mater's biggest rival?
I don't know.
Obviously, I'm joking. It's a job. But
yeah. He's getting paid $28.5 million. I think he'll stay pretty loyal to that payment.
Yeah, that's true. But no, it's the state of college football, Kieran. And you have teams going to rivals. Or coaches going to rivals. You have NIL all over the place. You have Notre Dame taking their ball and going home. And in the midst of all this chaos, the University of Utah decided, just to make sure college football is dead, they were going to put one last bullet in its still slightly warm corpse.
This is awful.
Oh, I thought you were talking about what I said.
No. What you said is true. What you're about to say is awful.
Ross Dellinger, of Yahoo Sports, contributor for On3 Sports, put out that the University of Utah is entering into what could be a $500 million equity partnership with Notre Capital, featuring the creation and shared ownership of a for-profit entity to operate athletics. He called it a fascinating concept. I call it a travesty. Utah is inviting its most prominent boosters to purchase a stake in the new private athletics company, Utah Brands Entertainment, LLC. The university, Notre Capital, and donors will share ownership. Otro will own a large stake in the new athletics company. The university owns the majority and retains decision-making powers through its president and AD, Mark Harlan, who will chair a governance board overseeing Utah Brands and Entertainment LLC. So remember when Nick Saban said that all this NIL and money coming into college football was a bad idea? Remember everyone said, the future is now, old man. You just don't want to deal with not being the only one who can pay players. See what happens? You have the Utes bringing private equity into the sport at a level we have never seen before, and college football is dead. So we're going to be a golf podcast going forward.
All right, sounds good. Yeah, no
shady private money in golf, right? Right.
It's never happened. To that end, it was fine. It was fine when corporate sponsors did bowl games. They got their name on a sign. Everyone tuned in to the Chick-fil-A Bowl, whatever. Fine. It got bad when they started taking over rivalry matches and putting their names on that and hosting them at neutral venues. Not okay. This is taking it out back, putting a bullet at its head, grabbing its still warm corpse, tossing it in the river, passing it through a hydroelectric dam, being eaten by piranhas, and then taken out what's remained and burnt. That's what this is. It is the university as a whole, at the very minimum, its athletic department of the Utah Utes, or the University of Utah, will be bankrupt and gone within 7 years. I'm saying that now. It will be bankrupt and gone. That's what private equity does. They are soul-sucking monsters.
I don't think they will be bankrupt. They will be gone. I think they will start going bankrupt, and then more private equity will come into play. And then eventually it'll reach a point where the University of Utah Athletics, the university has zero say in what goes on because Otro Capital or some other equity firm just has all controlling interests. And then we make that joke a lot. At that point, I think we'd have to cancel the podcast, Kieran. The minute private equity owns a controlling stake in a college football team, I think we're done.
Yeah, we cannot stress this enough. What you're looking at is the slow decay of college football into a spot where it is purely a secondary professional league is what it is. And it is no longer college football. We will have to redo the name of this podcast. We'll have to find other things to watch and things like that. Which is a bonkers thing to say, because how long have we been doing this podcast? How long ago did we start?
5 years.
5 years. And in 5 years' time, we have gone from the biggest problem was the college football playoff to actively rooting against private equity to come in and ruin sporting athletics in universities. That's how far we've come in 5 years.
I think UNC already tried it, but how long until the Saudis do something like this? And what school do you think will be the ones to do it?
10 minutes and Texas A&M.
I don't know if it's Texas A&M. They are soulless monsters who will just do whatever they can to get a win. But I think they have enough oil money.
Yeah, but how about more oil money?
That's true. That's true. But also, they did sell nuclear secrets to Qatar. So
right. So they already have an in.
That might piss off the Saudis, though.
Good point.
I think it's going to be. So part of me says it's going to be a big name program, but I think a big name program would not want the negative optics that come with this, and they have enough money. Like I would say in Ohio State, it's going to be someone weird. It's going to be like UMass.
UMass gets a
powerhouse.
UMass gets a $1 billion stadium upgrade and the best recruits in the country, dwarfing anything that Georgia or Ohio State could possibly muster.
The UMass oil rigs. They was like, "What? You're in Massachusetts. Why are you the oil rigs?" And then you just see a giant statue outside of the upgraded alumni McGurk Stadium of the Saudi prince and the rest of the Saudi royal family.
Yeah.
And they just point to it. That's why.
Yeah.
So shout out the Minutemen, I guess, on your absolute dominant run you're going to make off the back of Saudi oil money. But moving off of that depressing topic and how college football is getting ruined, onto betting, which is also ruining sports watching for some. So we have that going for us, but we're going to go over our bets from last week. I had Alabama plus 114. They lost. That's a loss for me. I had BYU plus 12.5. They lost by 27. That's a loss for me. I had Alonzo Barrett, the third, 50 plus rushing yards. He had 85. So 1 and 2, not a bad week for me. Kiernan had Boise State minus 205 versus UNLV. That's a win for him. He had Tulane plus 2.5 versus North Texas. That's a win for him. And he had Indiana over 21.5 and Ohio State under 26.5. You really should have just taken this as another money line because while Ohio State definitely scored under 26.5, Indiana did not score over 21.5. So that is a loss for you, Kiernan, unfortunately.
It's fine.
But 2.5 for 3 isn't bad. But it's time. We took a hiatus last week because most of these were in bolt or domes. It's time for Kiernan's weather report. Really just for the Army-Navy game and some of the early bowl games.
Well, to that end, the Army-Navy game, provided their fingers aren't freezing off, which is more than possible, especially the cold weather being, hitting us on this East Coast here. This is going to be just a pure run game. So, with like over under of 7 throws in total for both teams. So, provided their fingers aren't freezing off and the defense isn't using their arms as clubs punching the ball out, it's going to be an Army-Navy football game. These guys will play in any weather, any condition. The weather report is essentially pointless.
That's fair. So we'll get into our bets. Kiernan, are you picking Army-Navy game for any of your bets or for
Yes,
your
I
money
am.
line?
Mm-hmm.
Okay. I am not, so I just want to make sure. But reminder, college football playoff bets, those will come next week as those games get closer. This is going to be, there's 2 bowl games before we record next week. There are FCS playoffs and Army-Navy game. So I'll start us off, Kiernan. We didn't talk about it in this episode. North Dakota State lost this week in the FCS playoffs. A huge upset, a shocking upset. And a team like that could beat North Dakota State is ready to go on a run. So I have Illinois State plus 110 versus UC Davis.
Oh, that's good because Illinois State aren't even ranked against number 8 UC Davis. Wow. It's a bold one there.
Yeah. Who you got in your money line?
My money line is going to be, sorry, I just had it up. It's going to be Navy over Army minus 245.
All right. What's your spread?
My spread. Oh my God, where is it? Oh, my spread is the. Oh wait, this isn't happening. Sorry, I've got 2 different things going on. So hold on, just go to yours and I'll get you mine in a second.
All right, my spread. I have Army plus 6 versus Navy. I think it's going to be a low-scoring affair. As you said, it's ground and pound all day. So I think Army will keep it close. You got your spread?
Right. Nope, it's completely gone. I was going to take Tarleton State spread against Villanova, but for life of me, I have lost where I was looking. So my apologies.
No, that's fine. I had it up momentarily or a second ago. I can find it real quick. It's of course my side. Tarleton State minus 11.5 versus Nova.
Love it.
All right, what's your miscellaneous? That was great podcasting we just did, Kiernan, but we figured it out together, and that's what matters.
It's okay.
Kieran might be frozen or muted. I can't hear him. All right, well, Kieran can't talk, so I'll get my miscellaneous. I have Blake Horvath and Cale Helms over 300 rushing yards in the Army-Navy game at plus 418. It's a bold pick, but I have faith in Blake Horvath. And, Helms, he's an Army quarterback. They run. That's all they know how to do. No throw, just run. So, yeah, I like the over 300. Kieran still might be deceased. We're going to remove him and re-add him. I don't know, Kieran. Just text me or put in the chat. This is going wonderfully great podcasting. Let's see what else is going on in the world of college football. Kieran figures out because I'm too lazy to edit an episode, unless it's really bad. We've talked about all that. Ooh, that's interesting. 2 hours ago, West Virginia running back Jaheim White is entering the transfer portal. He rushed for 1,820 career yards and 14 touchdowns. That's a big get in the portal for whoever ends up getting him. It's going to be some big name program. It's not going to be some small group of 5 school like everyone was hoping for when the transfer portal was set up. So, yeah, it's going to be bad. And we talked and railed against Notre Dame for opting out of bowl games. Kansas State and Iowa State also did that, and they're fined $500,000 by who, you may ask? Their conference they're in, because they are real programs that are part of conferences. Now, both these schools did have a reason for opting out of their bowl games. Chris Kleeman did just retire for Kansas State, and obviously Matt Campbell leaving Iowa State to go to Penn State. My computer just kind of freaked out for a second there. So it makes sense that they're going to opt out of these bowl games, but the $500,000 fine, it's the right of the Big 12 to do that. But Notre Dame fans touting this, to see other schools do it, it kind of loses its speed as they're being punished by the conference they're actually in. Kieran, you're back.
Yes, I believe I'm back. I apologize for that. So my miscellaneous is a little bit of an odd one. I haven't done this all year, but I'm going to go with the over-under for the Montana State Stephen F. Austin game, and I'm going to pick the under at 51.5. I have
Under
no
51.5?
Yeah. I have no idea what happened. It's minus 110, by the way.
Okay. All right. So
I could not talk. That was the weirdest thing.
Yeah, but I'm too lazy to download this and edit it. So I just kind of Googled stuff and talked about it. So great podcasting, but you got to do what you got to do. So quick rundown of our bets. I have Illinois State plus 110 versus UC Davis. I have Army plus 6 in the Army-Navy game. I have Blake Horvath and Cale Helms over 300 rushing yards in the Army-Navy game as well. Kieran has Navy over Army. He has Tarleton State minus 11.5 versus Nova. He has Montana State versus Stephen F. Austin under 51.5. Yeah, so now my laptop's freaking out. Kieran, what have you done? What have you done to our sweet program? Yeah. All right. That's it for our show. No Luke Fickell shopping list this week because their season's over. So either he's fired or he's not. But yeah, Kieran, anything else you want to touch on before we get on out of here?
No, I think we're just ready for the playoffs, and shout out to all the teams in the FCS playoff as well. You guys are just as important. I know we're only a 2-man podcast, but hey, we made bets for your playoff. What more can you ask from us?
Yeah, and we talked about North Dakota State being upset. So that's I think next year, Kieran, I'm picking an FCS school for my mid-team if I don't go with we're going to pick Ohio State and watch them lose.
Okay, all right. Sounds
I haven't decided yet. I really want to do an FCS team.
All right.
Because I think it'll be more fun. Because, here's my Ohio State mid-team report. Nobody cares. That's not as much as I want to see them lose. So I think I'm going to go FCS.
All right. Sounds good.
So if you want your FCS school covered more closely on this show every week. Let us know on Twitter, either in the DMs, reply to this episode. Let us know in the comments on YouTube who I should be rooting for next year at the FCS level. And be sure to comment other things if you think we're idiots, and subscribe to Belly Sports. We put out great content. Also, we showed his video, 3rd and 10, with Brian, who they mostly do Giants stuff, but still a good time. Follow the Corner Booth, since I was mean about Jared being a Miami fan. Follow us at Quad Tailgate, wherever you get your podcasts. And everyone have a good, safe, fun weekend. Don't drink too much, and if you do, don't drive.
There you go. See ya.
They're eating the dogs, Kieran, in Tuscaloosa.
They're eating the
you know
dogs.
that?
They were
They're
eating the dogs.
the dogs.
Oh, a meth raccoon.
Yeah.
Just awful. There is nothing good about this. It's the worst possible scenario for the CFP, for the national championship.
Notre Dame is a mid-program with really good marketing.
And the Michigan players are going to look at that, and anybody who's committing to Michigan in the next years will just go, I want to beat them even more. Like, I wanted to beat them when I first came to the school. Recruits are going to see this.
You have, as some fans have put it, a mascot flashing their pop tussie out.
Oh, God, that's going to be part of our intro next year. Oh, shit.